Hello everyone and welcome to Oswego Now's first ever NHL mock draft. Today we'll be predicting the moves of the top 16 teams in the draft. Now you might be wondering, why not 32? At the time of this recording, the NHL playoffs are still in full swing. For this show, we'll be listening to each of our analysts make the best cases for each pick. While some picks might be unanimous, others polar opposites. Now who are these analysts and why should you care what they have to say? Well, let's meet them. Derik, you're up first.
My name is Derik Clark. I'm the sports director at WNYO. I'm also the main voice on the radio with the guy over on the other side of this table, Rob Finger, as well. They've decided to put a camera in front of me for some reason. I'm excited to talk about hockey, though. I've loved it my entire life. It's a fun sport. Can't wait to talk about it.
Thank you, Derik. I can't wait to hear what you have to say today, but Rob, I'm going to toss it over to you.
Thank you very much, Evan. My name is Rob Finger, and like Derik said, I've been part of the WNYO men's hockey broadcasts here at Oswego State for the past 2 years, and I've also been the host of a little show by the name of Hockey Talk on WTOP 10 for just about the last year. I played hockey for about 10 years of my life anyway, and I've been watching hockey since about 3, 4, 5 years old, so I'm a huge fan and really looking forward to what this draft will bring.
Awesome. Now, the lottery, to say the least, was not what everyone expected. We saw teams like the Maple Leafs rise from the ashes and claim the first overall pick despite an 8.6% chance, while teams like the Rangers fell all the way to 5th overall. Now, let's take a look on how each team fared.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that Toronto got that first overall pick in the draft, it blew almost everybody's minds. I mean, they had the 5th best odds to make that first overall pick, and the first year that they missed the playoffs after 9 years straight of making it, they get the first overall pick. So Toronto lucks out.
Right. So now on to how these picks will work. After each analyst makes their case, I will decide who made the best one and write the draft pick on one of these pieces of paper right down here. I'll then send it over to our very own Gary Bettman, who will be announcing the picks live from the NHL Draft in our version of Buffalo. Now that the rules are in place, lace up your skates and stay tuned. After this short break, Toronto will be on the clock.
Welcome back into the Oswego Now 2026 NHL Draft Special. I'm your very own Barry Getman, and, well, it's that time. Toronto is now on the clock. Let's send it back over to our host, Evan, and our analyst for the first pick.
Thank you, Barry Getman. For this first overall pick, the answer has been fairly clear throughout the time, but what do you guys have to say about this?
Well, obviously, Gavin McKenna is obviously one of the greatest college hockey players to come out of Penn State. I don't think anybody that's watching this can disagree with that statement. I think another thing for Gavin McKenna, obviously, is stuff that's happened off the ice. He's been able to clean that up. That's been the big question mark. But other than that, I mean, nobody else in this draft really screams, let's take this kid first overall. And for the Leafs, you get the chance of being the number 1 overall pick, and this is your chance to grab Gavin McKenna. Obviously, they need some help on the defensive side of the puck, but I think this team really, really, really needs to just take the first overall pick and run with it.
Yeah, I will very much agree with the whole sentiment around Gavin McKenna. And I mean, you mentioned it as well. Toronto definitely does have some needs on the defensive side of this puck. I mean, in expected goals against per 60, they were 29th in the league, and goals against above expected, they were even worse, 31st in the league this year. And even though, it was a career worst season for a guy like Austin Matthews and the Toronto Maple Leafs offense as well, they're sure to bounce back. While the Leafs do need some better defense, though, you can't argue with a prospect like Gavin McKenna, who's been compared to the likes of Mitch Marner and has projection comparisons like, Nikita Kucherov. If you're a Toronto Maple Leafs team that is picking first overall after missing the playoffs for the first time in just about a decade, you got to make it worth your while, and you can't miss on a guy like Gavin McKenna.
I think it's fair to say the decision has been made, so with that, the pick is officially in.
All right, well, with the first overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft, the Toronto Maple Leafs select Gavin McKenna, left winger. And with that being said, that now puts the San Jose Sharks on the clock.
So with San Jose on the clock, what do you guys think is the choice here?
From what I'm projecting, San Jose, with how many top picks that they've been making in the past couple of years as well, they can afford to get maybe somebody who has been a little bit more established in the league and give up that pick, maybe go a little bit backwards in this order, but not too far down the order. So I think they're going to trade this pick away.
This just in, I believe we do have a trade alert, so I'm going to send it on over to Barry Getman.
Well, that's correct. San Jose sends the second overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft to Seattle Kraken in exchange for the 7th overall pick in the 2006 Draft, a 2027 second-round pick, and right-handed defenseman Brandon Montour.
So with Seattle now in that second position, what do you guys think they do with this pick?
I honestly think that they go for an offensive star. The Seattle Kraken's defense really punched above its weight in this past year. They went from 17th in expected goals against per 60 up to 7th for goals against above expected. So their defense was a real star this year. It's just what they lacked is a bona fide offensive star with a top line of Jared McCann, Maddie Beniers, and 35-year-old Jordan Eberle. You need somebody that can take the reins in terms of this top scoring. Not a single member of the Kraken broke 30 goals this year, and I think they take Ivar Stenberg, the right wing from Frölunda in Sweden, at second overall.
And I second with that pick. I think you look at this team, right? You look at what the Kraken are. This team is a very interesting team. They've just joined the league a few years ago, but they're in that little bit of a fix-it-up situation. They need a star on the ice for the Kraken, and this pick right here, you get a guy who played over in the SHL. He played technically professional in the SHL. It's a beautiful league, and the way European hockey is a completely different sport than the NHL, but it transitions pretty well once you go there. He's a young, flashy star. I do agree. I think Ivar gets in there in Seattle with the second overall pick.
Awesome. So with that, I believe our pick is in once more.
With the now second overall pick, the Seattle Kraken select Ivar Stenberg, right winger. And with that being said, the Vancouver Canucks are now on the clock.
So with the third overall pick, the Vancouver Canucks are officially on the clock. What do you guys have to say about this?
I have to say this about Vancouver. This season was nothing short of a disaster for the Canucks. They finished dead last in almost every category and were robbed a first overall pick when they had the best possible odds at it at 18.5% to get that first overall pick. They fall all the way down to third overall, and now they need a guy that the fans are going to rally around, and that, I think, is good old Canadian boy Caleb Malhotra. His father, Manny Malhotra, was present on the Canucks for their Stanley Cup Finals run back in 2011. And if the Canucks and the city of Vancouver can harness any of that energy and any of that nostalgia of successful seasons past, they will. maybe it's the sort of black magic that they would kind of need to get out of this funk that they're in.
You know, I slightly disagree with Rob, and here's why I say that. The issue in Vancouver is something I've been able to watch being a Ducks fan, and the one issue they really lack on is defensive side of the puck, and that's why I chose Chase Reed. I think he's a phenomenal hockey player out there playing for the Sioux out in the OHL. The thing is, though, I also agree with Robin taking Caleb Malhotra because Caleb is also a flashy center. They need a center as well. This Canucks team needs a lot of things. They need everything. They're a mixed bag of bolts, and they need to fix everything. So I could argue for Reed, but I also kind of agree with Rob. I think I would take Caleb a little bit over having Reed, even though I would argue the defensive side of the puck is something to worry about. But I think they could find a way to get someone defensively later in the draft or even possibly in the free agency.
So with that, it seems like you guys eventually came to an agreement there. So the pick is in.
With the 3rd overall pick, the Vancouver Canucks select Caleb Malhotra. And now with the 4th overall pick will be the Chicago Blackhawks.
Now on to an original 6 team who has been kind of struggling as of late, the Chicago Blackhawks. Who do you guys have Chicago taking?
Well, the Chicago Blackhawks in the past couple of years have loaded up on forward prospects to surround their star boy, Connor Bedard, but they lack real defensive prospects, and we're middle in the pack in goals against above expected. They started the year at 32nd for expected goals against per 60, but they rose up to 17th for goals against above expected, but still, that sort of defensive depth is something that they lack in focusing so hard around finding prospects to surround Connor Bedard. And with that, I believe that Chase Reed, the right-handed defenseman from the Sioux Greyhounds, would add a neat 1-2 defensive punch between him and one of their previous first-round picks, Artyom Levshunov. So I'm going to go Chase Reed.
And Derik, what do you have to say? I know you had Chase Reed possibly going round 2. So what do you have lined up here?
I do agree that it's Chase Reed. I think if the Canucks do go the route of going center instead of defenseman, I think Chase Reed goes down to 4. I think the Blackhawks would be absolutely stupid to not grab a defenseman, and Chase Reed being literally the number 1 defenseman. He's not only a good defensive side of the puck. I mean, you look at his stats back in the OHL. In 45 games, he had 48 points. So, I mean, this is a kid that can not only be a great defensive player, he can also get you some opportunities along the boards and everything else to get some goals on the board as well. So I think this is a great pick, and Bedard would be pretty happy to play with him.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Bedard would be happy to have some defense there to help him out. So with that, once more, the pick is in.
With the 4th overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft, the Chicago Blackhawks select Chase Reed, defenseman. With the Blackhawks picks, up next, the New York Rangers.
And with the first 4 picks off the board, we're going to send it over to break. And when we come back, the Rangers are on the clock. And welcome back to Oswego Now's very first draft special. We're going to hop right back into it. New York Rangers are on the clock. What do you guys have to say?
Well, I think that the Rangers this year, their defense was the real standout between the top two of Vlad Gavrikov and Adam Fox. Meanwhile, their offense had a real down year in terms of production. But however, with this first round being such a defense-heavy round, they're unfortunately going to have to wait a little bit to fill that need. I think that they take left-handed defenseman Albert Smits from Red Bull Munich of the Dell.
And I think you look at a team like the Rangers. Albert Smits is obviously the greatest pick that they could have here. Rob, I think we're cruising right now in the top 5 picks. But Smits is Smits, and I think that is basically the case here for him. It's an easy pick for the Rangers. You got to get someone like him, and that's what they plan to. So yeah.
And with another fairly unanimous decision, the 5th overall pick is in.
With the 5th overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft, the New York Rangers select Albert Smits, defenseman. With that, the Calgary Flames are on the clock.
And Calgary coming in at number 6. Who do you guys think is leaving the board?
Well, the Calgary Flames right now are in the midst of a serious rebuild, and they honestly need to take what they can get. They've got issues all over this different sides of the puck. They've got some serious size, I should say, on the table right now for this draft in the form of 6'4" Keaton Verhoff coming in from a fantastic NCAA program in North Dakota. And I mean, why wouldn't Calgary take a big D-man like Verhoff? They can afford a few more years of the early 30s men in their top 6. But on the back end, their only real weapon is Zachary Whitecloud. So if you can get a pretty towering defenseman to pair with him, you should. So I think Keaton Verhoff, the defenseman from North Dakota.
A big defenseman is always good, but Derik, who do you think is going in this 6th round?
Rob, I agree with you on the defensive side of the puck. They really need defensive side of the puck players. But I got Carson Karls here. Now, the reason I have Carson Karls is pretty simple. I picked him over Verhoff for one reason. You put up the size of Verhoff. I think that's 100% the case there. But Karls is also a defenseman. I really like the defensive side of the puck to where they can set up plays. And Karls is one of those guys. He can get you the puck. He can set it up. He's one of those guys that I like to call the assisted magnet. He can get assists. He can set guys up, quick flashes. And that's something the Flames need. Shout out to my good buddy Johnny Beecher that plays for the Flames. He needs a guy like that right now. And I think Karls is the guy there for them to really work and have that.
Two really, really great arguments there. I kind of had to think here to get this pick in, but I believe pick number 6 is officially in.
With the 6th overall pick, the Calgary Flames select Carson Karls. With the 7th overall pick will be the San Jose Sharks.
Now moving over to San Jose, who picked up this pick in a trade with the Kraken. Who do you guys think the San Jose Sharks make with this new pick?
Well, I mean, with the trade, they got both a second-round pick next year and an absolute beast in Brandon Montour. And I think with Carson Karls going 6th overall in this draft, then I'd honestly submit Keaton Verhoff in for Carson Karls because, you know, with Karls now off the board, you've still got a similarly large defenseman. I mean, Karls was 6'2", Verhoff 6'4", so I think Verhoff as well would fit fairly well in with this Sharks team that, you know, with that killer offense that the Sharks have right now with players like Will Smith, Macklin Celebrini, they need to get those big defensemen that can keep that killer offense in the zone. So I think Verhoff gets it.
I totally agree with that adjustment there. And Derik, do you agree or do you disagree with this move?
I do agree with Verhoff being in that pick. I would also argue Daxton Rudolph, but I don't think that would really fit the way that the Sharks would want to take a pick here. So I do agree that Verhoff is this pick. To the credit of Rob, obviously a defenseman in his size is perfect. The Sharks already have their flashy players. You just need a guy to set the tone, and this is a guy that could set the tone for you.
100%. So with that, the San Jose Sharks pick is officially in.
With the 7th overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft, the San Jose Sharks select Keaton Verhoff, defenseman. With the 8th pick, the Winnipeg Jets.
With the Jets officially on the clock, who do you guys have going 8th overall?
Well, I think what honestly Winnipeg needs right now is defense. But the thing is, the margin between them needing defense and them needing offense is very, very close. This year, they started with an expected goals against per 60 of 18th in the league. And then goals against above expected, they rose up to 16th. And then for goals for per 60, it was 24th. And above expected, going up to 20th. So rising tides for Winnipeg, even though they went from going from a President's Trophy last year to now missing the playoffs in this one. But the only thing with this Jets team is they are aging. With a significant portion of their team approaching or above 30 years old, they need a change-up. And I believe that right-handed defenseman Ryan Lynn from the Vancouver Giants of the WHL will do that for them.
A wonderful pick right there. But Derik, what do you have to say?
I really like that you picked Lynn there, but I have a completely different defenseman in this case. I did go defenseman. I went to the WHL. I went out to the Raiders, got Dexton Rudolph for him. The reason being is Rudolph is... Instead of Derik picking a defenseman that's flashy, he is flashy, but I also like how he sets the tone. There's a role in the world of defensive side of the puck. You got to set the tone. This kid can set the tone for you. And to the credit, the Jets are getting old. These guys are starting to become unks, and they need somebody that's young. And this is a kid that's young, flashy. He can hit the body, throw the body. He can learn easily from the Jets. I really think Dexton Rudolph deserves this pick here.
I do love a player who knows how to lay the boom, but with that, the 8th overall pick is officially in.
With the 8th overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft, the Winnipeg Jets select Ryan Lynn, defenseman. On the clock next will be the Florida Panthers.
That's right. After these first 8 picks are now officially off the board, when we come back from this quick break, the Florida Panthers will be on the clock. And welcome back. For this 9th overall pick, we are headed over to the Sunshine State. Who do the Florida Panthers have going 9th overall?
Well, even though it was a disastrous and injury-ridden season for the defending Stanley Cup champions, they will most certainly bounce back next season with all of the offensive weaponry they have. But what they need to do this draft is make that season of suffering worth it. And I think 6'2" Dexton Rudolph of the Prince Albert Raiders, the defenseman, could do just that, because this defensive core is old. Every defenseman is at least 29, and 4 of them are 30 or older. To get the top point getter in the WHL playoffs in Dexton Rudolph would be the perfect prospect to get some young blood in that defense room for the Panthers.
100%. And Derik, who do you have going?
I think the Panthers here, I got to agree with Rob here. Daxton Rudolph, the reason, it literally is what Rob just said. I think everything he just pointed out is completely facts. But also, to add on to that statement of young blood, Panthers hockey the last few years has been the young blood, has been the ferocious Panther, throw the fake rat on the ice mentality, and this kid has that in his play. And I think the fans of Florida out there will also appreciate that. And so I agree with Rob here. There's no debate in this one.
I'm so far loving this defensive class coming in here. So with that, the 9th overall pick is officially in.
With the 9th overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft, the Florida Panthers select Daxton Rudolph, defenseman. Up next, the Nashville Predators.
And we've officially reached double digits. With the 10th pick, the Nashville Predators are on the clock. Who do you guys have going?
Well, this year was a year where nothing really seemed to click for the Preds until late in the season. They have weapons on the side like Stamkos, Evangelista, Forsberg, Marchessault, but they lack depth down the center. Ryan O'Reilly has been their clear top-line center, but they don't really have anyone significant behind them, and that's why I think Viggo Bjork, the center from Djurgården of the SEL in Sweden, will go to the Nashville Predators, and even though he stands at a mere 5'9", Viggo Bjork could be the killer 2C for Nashville, and with him now playing at the World Hockey Championship, he's proving he can be, a short king of the NHL like the likes of Brayden Point or even Cole Caulfield.
If you're going to go off size here with Bjork, I disagree with you, Rob. And I have Ethan Belchez going here, the guy from the Spitfires out there in the O. The reason being, I'm going to go off size here. He's a bigger guy, and he's the right size. He's a left winger. He's the right size for a left winger. They need someone offensively. They need somebody on the offensive side of the puck that can get them setups. And you look at the stats that this guy had with the Spitfires. I mean, in 57 games, he had 59 points. That's over a point a game. So this guy can score. He can set up plays. He can score. He can get everywhere on the ice that you need. He's what you would call a Swiss Army knife of hockey players when it comes to the left wing side of the puck. So I think that is someone they need to look at, and I think that's the person they take here.
Two really great arguments there, but the pick is in.
With the 10th overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft, the Nashville Predators select Viggo Bjork. Up next, St. Louis.
Now with their first pick of 2 in this draft, St. Louis is officially on the clock. What do you guys think St. Louis needs?
Well, the Blues offense was one that really punched above its weight this year. They started the season expected goals for per 60 of 25th, but they rose 10 places to 15th for goals for above expected. And their top 6 is one that's incredibly solid. Their defense, however, it consists really of only Philip Broberg and Colton Parayko. They need to fill some gaps in their defensive prospect pool. But I think that they can't really do that this early in the draft, as most of the top defensive prospects have already been scooped up. Their benefit, however, is having, like you said, another pick in round 1 a little bit later. So the best thing that they can do is get a two-way center, and I think that they go for Tynan Lawrence, the center from Boston University, with the 11th overall pick.
I completely agree with Rob on this pick. I have Lawrence going, the man from BU. I agree that this kid is a flashy player. He's someone they really need, and to the credit of Rob, he sent out every fact at this point. It was really a team that has struggled offensively. I've been to the Enterprise Center. It's a beautiful rink. It's a beautiful city in St. Louis, and it's a beautiful hockey culture, and they just need to get back on the right track, and I think Lawrence really helps them in that aspect of getting right back on the track and playing the right style of puck.
Again, a great decisions by both of you. So with that, the 11th overall pick is in.
With the 11th overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft, the St. Louis Blues select Tynan Lawrence. Up next, the New Jersey Devils.
Now headed over to Jersey. They are officially on the clock.
Now, the fact that the offense for this New Jersey Devils team contains Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, and Tyler Meyer, and the fact that they were last in the league in goals for above expected, is just a sign that this team, I think, needs something fresh. They have nearly equal issues on both sides of the puck, both offensively and defensively, but at this stage, forward depth is better of the two, and I think that they go Ethan Belchez of the left wing from the Windsor Spitfires of the OHL. And this guy's a really big guy, 6'5". He'd be a welcome addition to a wealth of prospects that the Devils do have as they look to go back to the playoffs sometime soon.
I think that this is a completely different situation for them in the aspect of I agree it's a forward position, but I have Oscar Hemming going, the man from Boston College, the rival of the last player we just had get drafted. So I think the aspect here is I really like Belchez, and I think he would fit well in this organization with the Devils. And to your credit, I mean, they have about every famous person in last names on the roster for the Devils, but Hemming, I feel like, is one of those forwards who he doesn't have a lot of points when playing for Boston College, but what he has is style and depth. He's someone who can grow, and the Devils organization has the right soil, if you will, to set up someone to grow. And I think he is the person they need to help grow and nurture into someone like Hughes. So I think it would really be Hemming that would fit well for the Devils.
Again, two really great arguments by both of you, but the number 12 pick is in.
With the 12th overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft, the New Jersey Devils select Ethan Belchez, left winger.
And with another 4 picks off the board, when we come back from break, my very own New York Islanders will be on the clock. And welcome back. It is time for the 13th pick, which belongs to the New York Islanders. So who do you guys think could be joining Matthew Schaefer and the Islanders organization come next season?
Well, I think in picking Calder favorite Matthew Schaefer last year at first overall, they've got their man on the blue line. So they can afford to pick up, I think, some offensive skill, with Bo Horvat being the only 30-plus goal scorer and only 2 other players scoring over 20 goals. They need some skill, and I think that they take Marcus Nordmark, the left wing from Girard of the SHL of Sweden, in this one. He led the Swedish U17 Worlds and the Holinka Gretzky Cup teams, and has NHL provenance as well in his father, Robert Nordmark, who played for the Blues and the Canucks back in the late 80s. So he'd be a great offensive producer for an Islanders team that honestly has a lack of scoring depth. So I'm going Marcus Nordmark.
You know, Rob, I love you, man. You're a great guy. I've known you for years, but this is the first time I got to completely argue and disagree with you. And the aspect, I have Oliver Savano. The reason I have Oliver here, they played in the La Liga, played over in Europe. I like my guys that play over in Europe. The reason being is it's completely style. It's a different style of hockey. They play on Olympic-size ice. It's a beautiful, different type of culture, and he learned that style. And what comes with guys that come overseas, especially with La Liga, I've noticed throughout the years, is especially in the center position where he's from and plays, it's the aspect of able to win draws and set up off the draw. And that's something that Oliver is able to completely do. And that's something the Islanders need. They need that. I mean, you have a Calder Cup finalist, but you need someone to win the draw for that Calder Cup finalist, and that is the guy who can do that for you.
I definitely don't disagree. The Islanders need some help on the offensive line. So with that, the 13th pick is officially in.
With the 13th overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft, the New York Islanders select Oliver Savano. Up next, Columbus.
Now over to the Jackets, who are officially on the clock. Who do you guys see going in the 14th pick?
Well, honestly, I think the Blue Jackets are good on defense with people like Zach Werenski and Dante Fabro. They've got the back end covered. But while they have skill players like Adam Fantilli, Marchenko, and Garland, they don't have really much depth on the forward side of things. So I think Elton Hermansson, a right wing from Modo of Sweden, is going 14th overall to the Columbus Blue Jackets. And this year has a lot of tough Swedes coming into the league, and Elton Hermansson is certainly one of them. And I mean, at 6'1", he's also capable of playing either wing as well. So that sort of flexibility could be good for the Jackets. So I'm going Elton Hermansson at 14th overall.
Rob, it's another instance of me having to argue with you, buddy, and I hate to do this. I have a winger. I have what I call a mixed winger. He can play left, he can play right, and that being Adam Novotny. Adam Novotny is one of the most interesting guys to come out of the O right now in this situation. Played for the Petes out in Petersburg. He is a flashy scoring guy. I mean, I literally have the stats right here. He played 58 games, and he was able to notch in 65 points. 65 points in 58 games. That's over a point a game, almost 2 points a game. So a very skillful guy out in the wing position. You need something like that for the Blue Jackets. They have their young stars, but they just don't have someone that can get that quick, flashy shot, that can bounce into a rebound and set up some interesting plays. So that's who I think they take in this pick.
Two great offensive prospects there, but the 14th pick is officially in.
With the 14th overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft, the Columbus Blue Jackets select Adam Novotny. Up next, once again, the St. Louis Blues.
Now, the St. Louis Blues are officially on the clock for their second pick of this draft. So who do you guys got going?
Well, like we said earlier, I think that the St. Louis Blues really need to get some more defensive depth, and this is where that they can get that depth. I don't think that Xavier Villeneuve, the left-handed defenseman from the Blainville-Boisbrand Armada of the QMJHL, is going to go much higher than this in the draft. So I think that they get a left-handed defenseman in the form of Xavier Villeneuve, and this is the guy that St. Louis is looking to fill out that defensive room.
You know, unlike Rob, who can clearly speak good French, I can't, but I do love my Swedes, and that's who I have. I have a Swedish man coming in this one, Malte Gustafsson. He is a defenseman out there in the SHL, played for the HV71s, or 71, I think it's not plural, but either way, he's one of those guys who plays the defensive side of the puck. And what I mean is he is not trying to score at all. He is trying to set up his teammates. He's one of those guys who puts his body on the line for the guys he plays with, and that's someone the Blues need right now on the defensive side of the puck, and they need that bad. And that's a guy that's going to be hungry, and I can really expect some loud noise coming out of the Expo Center.
Once again, two very great arguments, but the 15th pick of the NHL Draft is officially in.
With the 15th overall pick of the 2026 NHL Draft, the St. Louis Blues select Xavier Villeneuve. Up last, the Washington Capitals.
Now with the final pick of our mock draft here, the Washington Capitals are officially on the clock. Who do you guys have going 16th overall?
Well, I think that I'll go back to the man that was unfortunately passed over. I was originally going to select Adam Novotny, but he got picked a couple picks ago, so I will go back to the man that I had before, Elton Hermansson from Modo of Sweden. And like I said, the Washington Capitals, they really need to prepare for the post-Ovechkin era. And that's a problem that I believe that the Washington Capitals and as well the Pittsburgh Penguins both have, where they have these megastars like Alex Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby that are coming, unfortunately for them, to the end of their careers here. So to get some good offensive prospects, especially on the side of Washington, you need to prepare yourself to have just some better offense and some really highly skilled offense that can take over for one guy leaving the room like Alex Ovechkin.
You know, Rob, it's another instance of me having to argue with this one. And the reason I have to argue is because this 16th pick could be anybody, in my opinion. There's a lot of picks I went with. But I went with a guy who reminded me a lot of someone that used to play in the Capitals. Remember TJ Oshie? One of the greatest Capitals of all time, in my opinion. Wyatt Cullen out there, left winger out of the National Development Program. He is a phenomenal skater, and he reminds me a lot of how TJ Oshie played out there in the Capitals. It's someone who similarly played, got the puck up, moved the puck, keep the fast. He's a guy who could skate. You need someone who could skate. And to your credit, you've got to get ready for what's going to be the Ovechkin goodbye and bring in someone young and flashy, and this is the guy that's young and flashy. I know it's the 16th overall pick. If you're a Capitals fan, you probably want something higher, but in my opinion, I think it's Wyatt Cullen, the guy who could really set up plays and really be flashy for you out there in the great capital, Washington, D.C.
And after one last bout of great arguments on both sides, the final pick of our mock draft, the number 16th pick, is officially in.
With the 16th and final pick of our mock draft for the 2026 NHL Draft, the Washington Capitals select Elton Hermanson.
And with our mock draft coming to a conclusion, I'm going to send you off to one last break, and when we come back, I'm going to give you the ins and outs on how to watch the official NHL Draft. And with that, our first NHL Draft Special has come to an end. Let's take one last recap at how our analysts predicted the first 16 picks to go. Going at number 1, we had the Maple Leafs choosing Gavin McKenna. Then the Kraken went with Ivar Stenberg in round 2. And the Canucks, Caleb Malhotra at round 3. And the Blackhawks, Chase Reed at pick 4. The Rangers went with Albert Smits at pick 5. The Flames, Carson Karls at number 6. Then the Sharks went with Keaton Verhoff at number 7. The Jets selected Ryan Lynn at number 8. Then the Panthers went with Daxon Rudolph at number 9. Next up, the Predators went with Vigo Bjork at pick number 10. And the Blues went with Tynan Lawrence at pick number 11. Then moving on to the Devils, they went with Ethan Belchez at pick number 12. The Islanders went with Oliver Savano at pick 13. The Blue Jackets went Adam Navant at pick 14. The Blues selected Xavier Villeneuve at pick 15. And finally, the Capitals selected Elton Hermanson at pick number 16. So with that, that is our recap of our draft. Do you guys have any closing statements?
Yeah, I will say that once again, this is a group of college kids talking about puck, and I will say that we are not analysts and we don't really know the outsides of the old GMs, but what we know is we love hockey and we know how to talk it. And I think what we've done here in these 16 picks is picked guys who truly, I believe, and I think I could say for everybody at this table, that this is what most likely could be the case in these top 16 picks. It is a very, very exciting thing to be a part of any draft in any sports league, and I think this is a big portion for us to show what we talk about here. And I think this is I think it was fun, is what I mean at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, the NHL Draft is always a fun thing to cover, no matter, if your team is picking first overall or 32nd overall. These are the guys that are the future of this league. These are the guys that, we may be tuning into 5-6 years from now that have been, oh yeah, he's always been that sort of guy. But nonetheless, the draft is something that, makes and breaks careers. It creates them, as well as, for the guys that don't get picked, maybe they get picked next year. But still, the draft is one of the most exciting things for the NHL, outside of the playoffs, and for it to come, just so short after the playoffs and after the awards as well. It just keeps this season going and keeps the NHL churning after every single year like we love it to be.
Awesome. Now I'm going to throw it over to Barry Getman one last time for some closing statements.
Well, I think this is a good draft. I think there's a realistic chance that a lot of these go the way they do. I'm a newer hockey fan. I didn't really start to watch the NHL until I came here to Oswego. So it's interesting to see college hockey and see all these players and players from Europe and all over the place. It's so different than any other sport. Especially when you watch the NBA and the NFL, players are strictly from pretty much the NCAA, and this is a lot more fun to watch. It's something I've learned to fall in love with. I think we had two great analysts. They agreed a lot because they have good puck knowledge, better than I do, and I'm interested to watch the draft, especially the first 16 picks, to see how this goes.
And with that, make sure to tune in on ESPN Friday, June 26th for round 1 and June 27th for rounds 2 through 7 of the NHL Draft and see how our analysts compare to the real deal. But until then, I've been your host, Evan Schombs, joined by our analysts Rob Finger and Derik Clark and Barry Getman, a.k.a. Kenny Girard. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great night.